Here is a truth about the human condition that most of us dare not face. The harder you chase happiness, the more suffering you create. We are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain, yet this very mechanism is what traps us in a cycle of anxiety and dissatisfaction. It's a paradox that haunted a man born 2,600 years ago, a prince who abandoned everything to find the answer to one question. If life is a gift, why is it laced with unavoidable suffering? His name was Siddhartha Gautama. His 6-year journey through brutal self-mortification and absolute meditation would lead to a discovery that transformed human consciousness. We have distilled his ancient philosophy, forged in that crucible of suffering, into 3 actionable lessons you can use immediately to extinguish the flames of modern burnout and existential anxiety. To understand this truth, we must first look into the furnace that forged the man the world would come to know as the Buddha, the Enlightened One. His given name was Siddhartha Gautama, and he was born a prince, the heir to the Shakya kingdom in ancient India. His famous ideas, the 4 Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, are often misunderstood. Many today think Buddhism is a religion of worship. In reality, it is a scientific method for diagnosing and ending psychological suffering. Siddhartha's world was one of extremes. He lived in a meticulously curated paradise, a palace built by his father to shield him from all human misery. He was surrounded by beauty, music, wealth, and pleasure. Outside the palace walls, however, ancient India was a world rife with the rigid caste system, brutal tribal warfare, and an aristocratic indifference to the rampant poverty and disease that consumed the common people. Siddhartha was intelligent and compassionate. This manufactured happiness felt fragile, dishonest. His core internal problem was a question that lodged itself in his heart. How can any person maintain absolute peace when confronted with the inevitability of death, sickness, and old age? Every luxury felt like a lie, a temporary distraction, because all of it, the music, the beauty, his own body, would eventually decay. His answer, when it finally came, was not a rejection of the world, but a total acceptance of its truth. He found the solution not in divinity or in nihilism, but in the radical center, the middle way. This philosophy was not born from quiet contemplation. It was forged in the fires of extreme conflict. For 29 years, the prince's father succeeded in his mission. Siddhartha lived in blissful ignorance, but the illusion could not last. Driven by a divine curiosity, Siddhartha demanded to see the world outside. His father arranged a clean tour, but the gods, or perhaps simple reality, intervened. On 4 separate trips, he encountered the 4 sights. First, he saw an old man, frail and bent, his youth completely gone. Siddhartha, who had never seen severe aging, was stunned. "This is old age," his charioteer explained. "It comes for us all." Next, he saw a sick person, writhing in fever by the roadside. "This is sickness," his charioteer said. "It is our shared fate." Third, he saw a corpse being carried to cremation. This was the ultimate shock. "This is death," his charioteer whispered. "It is the end of all things." The prince was shattered. The 4 sufferings, birth, old age, sickness, and death, were not abstract concepts. They were a guarantee. His perfect life was a beautiful prison, and these 4 realities were the walls closing in. On his final trip, he saw a 4th sight, an ascetic, a wandering holy man with a shaved head, a simple robe, and a begging bowl. The man had nothing, yet his face held a profound, unshakable peace that Siddhartha, with all his wealth, had never known. A new mission was born. He had to find that peace. That night, he made the decision known as the Great Renunciation. He went to his chambers and looked one last time at his beautiful wife, Yashodhara, and his newborn son, Rahula. In that moment, he was abandoning everything the world calls happiness, family, power, wealth, and certainty. He cut his long hair with his sword, traded his royal robes for rags, and slipped out of the palace gates. He was completely isolated, trading a life of absolute certainty for a fragile, terrifying possibility. Siddhartha walked into the forests and jungles, determined to conquer suffering by conquering the body. He spent the next 6 years mastering the extreme ascetic practices of his time. He learned meditation from the greatest masters, quickly surpassing them, but their states of bliss were temporary. Suffering always returned. He then joined a group of 5 ascetics who believed enlightenment could be burned out of the body through pain. He practiced self-mortification with an iron will. He held his breath until his head felt like it would split. He stood on one leg for days. He ate so little, a single grain of rice a day, legend says, that his skin clung to his bones, his spine visible through his stomach. And after 6 years, he found his greatest failure. He was no closer to the truth. He had achieved incredible feats of self-control, conquering his body, but he was not at peace. He was just starving. This was his great turning point. He realized extremism was the problem. The total indulgence of the palace was one distraction. The total deprivation of the forest was just another. Both were rooted in attachment, one to pleasure, one to pain. Weak and near death, he collapsed by a river. A village girl named Sujata, seeing his emaciated form, offered him a bowl of milk rice. His 5 ascetic companions watched in horror. He had given up. He was a failure. But Siddhartha, in a moment of profound clarity, accepted the bowl. The nourishment saved his life and cleared his mind. He walked to the base of a Bodhi tree and sat down, making a sacred vow, "Let my skin and bones wither, let my blood dry up, but I will not rise from this spot until I have found the truth." Here he faced his final battle, the war with his own mind, personified as the demon Mara, the Lord of Illusion. Mara represented Siddhartha's own deepest fears, doubts, and desires. Mara's armies of fear and doubt attacked him. Siddhartha did not fight back. He simply sat, with calm awareness. Mara's beautiful daughters, representing lust, craving, and attachment, tried to seduce him. He remained unmoved. Finally, Mara taunted him. "Who are you to claim this truth? Who is your witness?" Siddhartha did not answer. He simply reached down and touched the ground. In this simple, profound gesture, he called the earth itself as his witness, signaling his complete, grounded presence in reality. The ground, legend says, shook in affirmation. Mara and his illusions vanished. He sat in meditation, and as the morning star rose, the truth was revealed. It was only when he had completely let go of attachment to both extremes, the luxury of the palace and the torture of asceticism, that the middle way was born. Enlightenment, Nirvana, was not a heaven he had reached. It was the state of extinguishing the 3 fires of greed, hatred, and delusion, right here, right now. Siddhartha's enlightenment was not just a personal victory, it was the creation of a blueprint for all humanity. Here are the 3 core lessons from his journey, applied to our modern lives. The second noble truth states that the cause of all suffering is tanha, craving, desire, or attachment. It isn't the event that causes us pain. It is our attachment to the outcome, our craving for reality to be different than it is. We use this to stop worrying about things outside our control, especially our crippling attachment to outcomes, our boss's validation, our metrics on social media, whether someone texts us back. Practice naming the emotion. When you feel a wave of anxiety, instead of trying to push it away or fix it, simply label it in your mind. ... Quote, "This is anxiety. This is fear. This is impatience." Then, just allow it to exist for a few minutes. This simple act of awareness separates you from the emotion and robs it of its power. Right mindfulness. Sati is a key part of the Eightfold Path. It is the practice of non-judgmental awareness, of the present moment. You don't need to meditate for an hour in a cave. Integrate mindfulness into your busiest habits. Try mindful eating. For the first 2 minutes of your lunch, turn off your phone and focus only on the taste, smell, and texture of your food. Or try mindful walking. When walking from your car to your office, feel the sensation of your feet on the pavement. This practice trains your brain to stop agonizing over the outcome and grounds you in the process, the present, which is the only place life actually happens. Anatta, no self. This is the most profound lesson. The Buddha realized that everything is constantly changing. Anicca. Therefore, there is no permanent, fixed, separate I or me. The self we work so hard to protect is an illusion. This is the ultimate antidote to comparison culture. When you realize that there is no fixed self to protect, promote, or defend, comparison becomes meaningless. When you truly grasp that you and the person you envy are both just changing, impermanent processes, and that you are both struggling with the same fundamental sufferings, judgment dissolves. It becomes easy to practice metta, loving kindness. The Buddha's story teaches us the meaning of life is not to find happiness. It is to stop searching for it and accept everything as it is. Remember, the Buddha was not a god. He was a human being. He was a man who experienced the poisoning of extreme luxury and the torture of extreme austerity. His philosophy is not a nice theory. It is a survival guide, proven through his own blood, sweat, and tears. Prince Siddhartha's story proves one thing: your attitude toward your suffering determines the quality of your entire life. Try this simple challenge. Close this document, and for the next 2 minutes, do not try to change, fix, or analyze any emotion you are currently feeling, whether it's boredom, anxiety, fatigue, or even peace. Simply have it. Let it be. In that moment, you will realize what the Buddha taught. Peace is not found at the destination. It is found in the complete, radical surrender to this exact moment. What internal battle are you fighting right now? That could be resolved instantly by letting go of your attachment to a specific outcome.